Hey everyone, welcome to the Highland Pines Campground and RV Resort. Located just outside of the beautiful town of Fergus, Ontario, on the shores of Lake Belwood is this 850 unit, 200 acre plus development of seasonal cottages, trailers, and camping space. Now I don't work for the park and they're not paying me to make this video, but I have been a resident here in a park model unit by the lake for the last 2 seasons, and I can tell you that my family absolutely loves it. It is a beautiful place to be, the amenities are nearly endless, and there's never a shortage of things to do here. So I'm actually really surprised to hear that a lot of people aren't even familiar with the seasonal holiday resort model, which is essentially a place where you can come with your family, you can own a unit here, spend 5 or 6 months out of the year here, and then go home at the end of the season. We certainly weren't familiar with it, and we had spent so much time here with our boats and sea-doos on the shores of Lake Belwood, and we didn't even know this park existed. It wasn't until seeing a Facebook ad pop up for a unit that was for sale that we actually got ourselves educated and learned about everything you could possibly do here and why it's so much of a better value than, say, a conventional cottage or another type of seasonal resort. So over the course of this video, we're going to do a full tour of the park. We're going to look at all 3 phases, the pros and cons of each. We're going to look at the amenities in each. We're also going to grab one of the salespeople who's going to help us answer some frequently asked questions that you may have as a first-time buyer or someone considering this park over, say, any of the other parks in Ontario or even a conventional cottage. If you're ready to get started and are excited for this full tour, come on with me. There's a lot to cover in this video, so you can discover everything Highland Pines has to offer. Now, the park itself traces its history back to 1967, when Hugh Valerie and his son Don built their first phase of the campground on a former Christmas tree farm. Now, while its humble roots are to be admired, it's since been transformed into one of southwestern Ontario's premier RV and cottage resorts, and has received Woodall's highest rating of 5W for facilities and recreation. Within Highland Pines, you'll find a mix of conventional travel trailers as well as a limited number of campsites. However, the majority of what you'll find here is known as park model trailers or park model cottages, which are basically fully functional small homes. We're going to get into a tour of a couple of them later and explain them in detail, but for now, let's get a general overview of the park itself. The first thing you need to know is just how massive this place is, which is why most seasonal residents here have golf carts, because it just makes it easier to get around. Highland Pines has been developed in 3 phases. The original phase, Lakeside, also known as Phase 1, is the oldest but also the closest to the lake, beach, and boat marina. Phase 2 is a quick jump across the road and many units there back onto the river. Phase 3 is the newest development, also known as Valley Springs, and is the most resort-like of the 3 phases as it was conceptualized that way from the very beginning. Now, if you've got a young family like I do, security is probably really important. So at each entrance to each of the 3 phases of the park, you have power gates, but they are attached to the barcode. So each golf cart has a barcode, each vehicle associated with your site has a barcode, making it in and out really easy, and of course preventing people that shouldn't be here from being here. Now, one of the frequently asked questions that I found with people potentially looking here is whether or not they can rent, and this may come as a disappointment to some people, but no, you cannot rent these units out. I've seen parks across Ontario, including some pretty high-end ones, that let their seasonal guests rent, and it always ends up in disaster. It's loud, there's always parties. This is not that place. If you are looking for a place that you feel that your kids are safe and, you know, enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet, it's definitely not always peace and quiet, but a little bit of peace and quiet, this is more for you. Phase 1, or Lakeside as I mentioned, is the original part of the park. The head office and sales office, as well as a check-in point for guests, is found here. Now, being the oldest of the 3 developments, it's somewhat limited in its amenities for kids, featuring just a small pool and basic playground, but what it lacks for there, it makes up for in sheer natural beauty and privacy. With mature towering trees, a rolling landscape, and direct access to Lake Belwood, this is a place you want to be if you value a more cottage-like atmosphere, particularly as you get closer to the water. However, it is worth noting that the closer you get to the water here, the more expensive not only the cottages themselves become, but the seasonal park fees as well, which is something we'll talk about a little bit later. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this park actually resides on the shores of Lake Belwood. Lake Belwood is part of the Grand River system, and as the season goes by, the lake will rise or fall. So at the beginning of spring, we actually have almost no sand here. It is so full, but over time, as the dam at the end of the lake gets opened, the water recedes, revealing a very, very sizable beach that is always private. I rarely see it busy, but they definitely do have beach weekends where they'll come with their park organizers. They'll bring a bunch of activities for the kids, and it's really a great time. They'll have a DJ here, food trucks and everything. So if you're into beach, Phase 1 is probably where you want to be, because that's going to get you instant access, either walking or taking a golf cart, to the water. So there are many pools, of course, in Highland Pines. Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 all have their own pools. Phase 2 and Phase 3 have splash pads. There's always a way for the kids to cool off. If you have a boat or a personal watercraft, Phase 1 is also great for you because you have direct access to the water. There is a boat launch here at Highland Pines. There's also a boat storage area. So if you've got your boat, instead of taking it in and out of the water and parking it at your house or your unit or whatever, there is offsite boat storage. There is a limited number of slips available, as you can see behind me. Most of them are already taken by seasonal owners here, but they do come up every once in a while. So if you're genuinely interested in having an actual slip, there's an additional fee for that, and you want to put your name in at the Highland Pines office to get on that waiting list. Across the road from Phase 1 is Phase 2, which is easily accessed with a golf cart or by walking if you're in one of the other phases. Here you'll find a lot of mature trees and some beautiful scenery. There's also a large list of amenities within Phase 2 that make it perfect for people who still want lush and private lots, but who also want to be within walking distance to everything. Phase 2 is home to a large open field where a lot of special events are held. Every weekend during the summer is a farmer's market where you can find fresh fruits and vegetables, baked goods, and a handful of vendors selling handmade products. This field is also where the helicopters take off from. Yes, you heard that right. On certain weekends during the summer, you can book a ride on a helicopter to tour the grounds and Circle Lake. Even if you aren't riding a helicopter, if you've got small kids, just watching it land and take off is a fun sight to see. This field also hosts car shows, end of season events like the Fall Fair, and more. Just off this open event field is a Phase 2 Arc, which is where park event coordinators plan things like dances, prom night, talent shows, weekend crafts for the kids, and so much more. On busy weekends, you'll also find 1 or 2 food trucks here, so you can spend more time enjoying your stay instead of worrying about cooking a meal. The Phase 2 pool and splash pad is perhaps the highlight of the amenities here, and a place where you'll find cottagers cooling off on a hot summer's day. The large, well-maintained heated pool is staffed with lifeguards to keep your family safe, and even has a small kiddie pool for the little ones. Located next to the Phase 2 pool are laundry facilities, which are super handy if you aren't going home during the week, and a massive wood frame castle climbing structure for the kids. Located close by are the basketball courts if you want to shoot some hoops, as well as a fully enclosed dog park and exercise space for man's best friend. While most of the units in Phase 2 are older, the lots are private, well manicured, and full of large trees. Some of these units even back onto the river, which is where we are going next. I'm in Phase 2 now, and this is actually one of the group camping spots. What I'm actually over here for is to show you one of the hidden gems of the park, and that's why actually one of the things I like about this place is that there's always cool things for you and kids to discover. Just to the side of this camping area is a little laneway that leads to the river, and I've seen a lot of other kids and families here to spend their time because it is a nice shallow creek, and you can of course come and catch crayfish and minnows and whatever else might be floating down this little creek here, and it's just a lot of fun. It's definitely something you'd see that's more of an idyllic summer memory to make. The most recent development here at Highland Pines is actually an old aggregate pit that is being brought back to life and naturalized as a summer resort destination. From the beginning, Valley Springs was intended to have a resort-like atmosphere, and it's clear that park designers went to great lengths to turn this vision into a reality. Upon entering Phase 3, you come to a pirate ship themed playground. This impressive all-wood structure is truly a sight to behold. And you can bet that seeing a near full-sized pirate ship is something that's going to be ingrained in a young child's memory for life. Just beyond the pirate ship playground is another sizable pool and splash pad, and the large water dumping bucket is clearly a favorite among the kids. Further back is an enclosed tennis court if tennis is your sport of choice. Although not an official park attraction, while it's here, the giant sand pile is yet something else that many young kids seem to flock to. Phase 3 is also home to a massive outdoor events pavilion set in a large, fully stocked pond for recreational catch and release fishing, or water sports like kayaking and canoeing. This events pavilion is where summer concerts take place, and when the entire park diverges on this one spot, it's a pretty magical thing to behold. If you're still following along by now, you've probably realized this isn't your grandparents' trailer park, and that the owners and staff have done everything they can to make it a worthwhile summer resort destination. Now I'm here in the newest development of the Highland Pines Park, which is Phase 3, also known as Valley Springs. Of course, being the newest development, you've got the newest amenities, but it's also generally wide open space. We have many, many park models off in the distance you can see, and they're still adding on here. So if you're looking at a brand new unit in a brand new development, this is where you're going to be. So is Highland Pines a campground? Yes. Is Highland Pines a trailer park? Yes. Is Highland Pines a cottage resort? Yes. The majority of what's here are known as park model units. They are actually built to be brought in and to be permanent. Behind me, I have one of them here. This is made by Northlander. It's a pretty big manufacturer of units like this. And now if you're familiar with the whole tiny house movement that's happened over the last 5 to 10 years, where people are building essentially fully functional homes on metal chassis and metal trailer chassis that they can bring around, this is very, very similar, but on more of a professional level. So what they do here is these get brought in by a giant tractor, and they get put in place. They put them up on stilts to level them out. They build all the skirting, they add the deck, they add maybe an attic room or a porch or a sunroom or whatever, effectively making that a unit that stays there in place. These do not move, they do not get pulled out at the end of the season. That is essentially your tiny home or your small cottage. Now I want to actually look at what is involved in running one of these things, because some people are still unfamiliar with how this may differentiate, despite it being structurally different, than a conventional pull-behind trailer. So let's take a look. So it may be obvious by now, this is certainly not camping, it's not glamping, it goes beyond that level. It's really a tiny home here in the middle of the woods. Now, if you're familiar with how your current house operates, these are really no different. You've got hardwired heating. In this case, we've got propane, which will cover your things like your furnace and maybe your gas stove. Down here, you've got your septic out, so you never actually have to worry about emptying your septic like you would a conventional travel trailer. It does actually go into the park sewer system. So there's never any worry about, your septic needing emptied or your sump needing emptied. Over here, you've got a 30 amp power connector. Some sites have 50 amp. You've got your hydrometer. You've got a water connection, again, that is supplied by the park. These units even have built-in water heaters, air conditioners, furnaces, everything you need to be environmentally comfortable. Again, definitely not like camping. If you're a remote worker and you find yourself having to work at home, or maybe your kids just can't get off that Netflix addiction, you have access to high-speed internet via Bell or ExploreNet, so you can have all your streaming services and all the comforts that you would at home right here in your cottage. And one thing you'll notice about driving around the park here and getting familiar with it is that I would say probably 70% of people have a golf cart. In a park this size, 800 units, different things across different phases, you really do need a golf cart to get around, but that's also part of the fun. I know that you're secretly watching this like, oh, it'd be so cool if I could drive a golf cart around all summer. Hey guys, I'm here with Erin Duffy from the Highland Pines sales team. Hi Erin, thanks for joining us.
Hi Sean, how are you? Thanks.
Oh, great. So tell us about this unit and what part of the park we're in.
Okay, so right now we're currently in phase 2. Phase 2 is a more developed area of the park. So if families are looking for that real cottage experience,
sure,
the mature trees, the nice serenity and quietness, that's what phase 2 is all about. Now, we also offer some really big amenities over here, like an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Yeah, my kids use it all the time.
Exactly, right? Yeah. We've got the splash pad, water slide, beach volleyball.
Oh, okay, cool.
Even though this doesn't sit directly on Belwood Lake, we're still trying to bring that feel to phase 2.
Yeah, you definitely get the cottage vibe being in here with all the trees. You got a lot of privacy. And I think this particular unit is one of the more popular styles of model that you sell here in the seasonal park model type format.
100% we do, Sean. Now getting to the park model, a lot of people are confused with what this is.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, is it a cottage? Is it a trailer? How do I use it? And they're all really good questions. These are considered 3-season park model cottages, which means they function like a little house, gets them out of the major cottage expense.
Big money for sure.
100, and it just allows them to utilize it like a tiny home. So they're plumbed directly into our sewer septic system. The water's potable, it's part of the well system, but it gives you that feel of cottage getaway. So we're trying to bring all of that to Highland Pines, and why we've launched all of the tiny homes, park models, not your trailers.
Yeah, not typical trailer for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not like hooking this up to your F-150 and pulling it out.
I hope not.
This is something that stays here.
I hope not. Okay. But if you did decide one day you bought property wherever, absolutely a company could definitely take your 3-season park home and plop it down on proper zoned property somewhere.
Okay, so do you mind showing us this one and kind of giving us
I
the
would
tour?
love it if you have time.
All right, let's go on. Oh yeah, so this one's got like kind of an overhang, kind of an added room, like a sheltered area?
Yeah, and that's great, Sean, because you can add this to any single unit that's purchased. So the cottage can almost grow with you over time based on what your needs and wants are.
And I'm assuming that if you didn't want like an overhang, that's an optional item, but you can also make this like an enclosed, like a sunroom or a Florida room.
Exactly, and people will use them for multi-purposes, master bedroom or bunk room or living room.
So if you've got guests, extra kids, something like that, it's extra space, because obviously these things are sizable, but they're not a full-size house. You're probably looking at what, 400, 500, 600 square feet the most?
That's exactly right. So based on our zoning, because we're seasonally zoned, our seasons run from May to October. Based on that stipulation, we can have a total of 540 square feet.
Okay.
So we do offer different options, which hopefully we get a chance to see some other stuff. However, based on the fact this is most popular, we're here right now. But we just reconfigure. So the manufacturer reconfigures that 540 square feet into a multitude of options.
Okay, so not every unit is the same. You get to pick your finishes, or at least if you're buying new, you got to get to pick your finishes and your configurations. But in this case, this is a resale model, so someone's here at the park, they're leaving for whatever reason, and we're looking at it today.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's go inside, I guess.
Awesome.
All right. Oh, wow, it's really nice in here, eh?
See why she's our #1 seller?
Yeah, it's really like neutral and modern at the same time. It's really bright, and you can see there's just a ton of windows.
Exactly. So this is called the Woodland Park Hopewell.
Okay.
This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom model and comes fully furnished.
Okay, so it comes basically with everything you see here other than the accessories.
Exactly. Nice. It's set up, ready to go. This is supposed to be, you know, as easy cottaging as possible.
Yeah.
You come, you cut the ribbon, you're moving your clothes in, right?
Nice. All right.
Just like you kind of did, right?
Yeah.
So here you've got the queen pull-out sofa. You've got your beautiful raised ceilings.
It's really high. Like it's actually higher than my unit.
You fit, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Transom windows, all of your soft close cupboards, undermount lighting, removable island, Sean. So if you decide to have a dance floor party one day, you're going to take this, throw it against the wall, and have lots of space.
It's probably on wheels or something. Very, very cool.
Exactly.
Nice.
And this is how they come. So Sean, if you want to get a little bit more detailed here, the Woodland Parks, they come with all of your undermount lighting, which is super, super nice. All of their cupboards here are soft close, okay? So you get a couple extra things in these models, more undermount there, that other manufacturers do not offer. Now, in all of the units, Sean, the stove, the furnace, and the hot water tank use propane. So you're gonna see gas stoves and everything. Realistically, on average, most families will probably spend $125 to $200 a season in propane to use that. Now, even though these are tiny houses or 3-season park model cottages, they don't use the same as what an actual house will. So the money is going to be a lot less, okay? Now, on these units as well, they come with lots of storage, my friend. You've got big pantries in all of them. And then we also have a front hall closet and an additional one right here. So if you're bringing your fishing gear or your winter stuff because it gets cold at night or your rain gear, you've got lots of room for all of the stuff for the family. Now, up here, we have the first of the 2 washrooms. Everything has your soft close pocket door as well. In the Hopewell, this gives you a traditionally sized bathroom. So you've got more than enough room for mom and dad to be bathing somebody and somebody's brushing their teeth. Other units may be a bit smaller. If you come down the hall with me, Sean, you've got now your bunk room on your right-hand side. These are reasonably sized, but they're not big, oversized second beds because you're sleeping in it. We hope that you're using all of the amenities and everything we offer. You've got your ladder that comes out, slides out easily there. And then you also have a small closet and storage under the beds. This is my favorite part, Sean. His and hers closets in the Woodland Park. What family doesn't want to have that? So again, soft close cupboards and everything, okay? You've got ample storage for clothes here. And if you slightly turn around, you also have your storage behind your bed. So right here, you're seeing a queen size bed, Sean, and that is standard in the Woodland parks. We do want to give nightstands on either side, so that is the option. We don't upgrade to a king. Some families do. It's just going to be a little bit tighter in here for you.
This really is a nice unit.
Yeah, they're great.
Do you have anything else you can show us? Maybe in a different price range or different manufacturer?
Absolutely, we do, Sean. So as of right now, Highland Pines works with 2 major manufacturers, the Woodland Park, but we also do a lot of Northlanders, and they're at a completely different price point. How about we get into one of those next?
Sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. So we're in a different phase now, I guess.
Absolutely, Sean. So we are in phase 1 that sits directly on Lake Belwood.
Very nice.
The views are amazing.
Yeah, I can see the water from here. So we have a little bit different looking model than the last one we looked at.
That's right. So this is our second manufacturer we work with. This is a Northlander product. And they're actually a Canadian manufactured product.
So they're made here.
They are, just outside of Exeter, Ontario. So Sean, one great thing about this site I want to point out to you, because all of them are so very, very different, depending on what owners like and don't like, is landscape. So a big question I get asked in park is, what am I allowed to do or not allowed to do? So we try to get you set up as good as possible. We include 300 square foot deck packages with every single product purchased. They come with aluminum rail, and it's a great start, okay? But this lot, for example, has beautiful patio stones and landscape.
I see there's a lot of hardscaping here. There's like multiple tiers, and you've got walk downs. This wasn't here, obviously, on the lot.
This was not here at all. So when we place a product and get the deck on, then people are able to custom to what they like. We actually work with different contractors that will come down and give families quotes if it's a large project like this. For somebody that wants to do a garden bed or plant some shrubs, we won't get involved in that. We just want to make sure that the lots here look a certain way at the end of the day.
Okay, so if I bought a unit here and I was a handyman and I wanted to do this myself, not really something I can do. It definitely has to be done by an outside authorized contractor.
Absolutely, just to make sure that not everyone that thinks they're that handy does an actual good job.
Totally makes sense, and this is obviously a beautiful job.
Yeah, for sure.
So can we take a look inside this unit?
I'd love to.
All right. After you.
Thanks, Sean.
Oh, this is quite a bit different than the last place we looked at.
Definitely is. Both really, really comparable products though, Sean. The Northlander Escape series is the highest series that they do offer.
And this is an Escape?
This is an Escape.
Okay.
That's right. Now, the Reflections is a lower grade, but it's a great way for families to get their foot in the door. The Escapes, they again have your transom windows, higher ceilings,
really nice.
Pendant lighting, stainless appliances.
Oh, so this all comes with this. There's nothing you have to buy.
That's correct.
So it's literally like a turnkey package. You put it here, you build a site, you put the skirting on, and you bring your plates and your towels and your toothbrush, and you're good to go.
As far as a move-in ready package, again, fully furnished, ready to go.
Nice.
Set up, hooked up. New products have warranty. Consignment products or resale products, some may call them, warranty is not transferable.
Okay. And this is obviously consignment. This is someone's already here.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
This is a completely one-off situation as well, because you've got full water view here, Sean.
I can see it there.
If I had 10 million of these lots a year, they would sell.
They would all be sold.
But unfortunately, we don't at Highland Pines. We currently have just under 800 owners. And there's, in phase 1, we have about 250 lots.
Okay, and phase 3, you actually are building on additional lots. So there's going to be expansion to the park at some point.
Exactly, and that will be our last development. The only way somebody's going to buy in after that is if our families decide to sell.
Okay, nice. And you have like a really nice open living room here too.
Absolutely, and again, Sean, you've got your pull-out sofa.
Oh, these all pull out.
So
it's an extra bed.
Because once one finds out you purchased, all your friends and family want to come.
Totally makes sense.
Could get a little crowded.
Yeah, and it looks just like a regular couch. It doesn't look like a cheap pull-out sofa.
Exactly.
Okay, nice.
They do try to make it feel as roomy and nice as possible, and accommodate as many as possible.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming a lot of these units have like full-size patio doors.
Absolutely, Sean, and that's one of the biggest features. They really want to bring the outdoors indoors. So if you've got the nice big sliding doors and the nice big windows, based on the fact that we have a small square footage or smaller square footage, it gives the open feeling to families.
You know, this unit's probably less than 500 square feet, but it feels open. It feels big.
Exactly.
And it's so, you know, it's very, very comfortable to be in here for sure.
Exactly. So Sean, another couple features in this one. This is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, okay? The Northlander product is slightly wider than the Woodland Park we were just in. So you're gonna get a little bit extra room, floor space in the 2nd bedroom. If we come down to the master, again, similar size, but no his and her closets. Why? Come on in. We have a full walk-in in this master. So ample storage again. And if we come back out to the front, we've got our beautiful full bath on the right-hand side here, Sean.
Oh, wow. So even though this unit's not really directly on the water, you have quite the water view there.
Absolutely. And you also get really nice sun exposure.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Even though you're around all these gorgeous mature trees, you still have a nice clear-cut opening here. Watch the kids playing at the beach, or, you know, beach parties. That's a big thing here.
My kids love it. I mean, I know that when you guys have the beach parties, you guys got a DJ out here.
Exactly.
The park staff comes out with like a limbo thing and the tug of war and
don't forget the sandcastle building competition, Sean.
I think that's a big advantage here, rather, is that, you know, some of these other parks in Ontario, while they have waterfront, it's typically like a glorified pond. You know, we have Lake Belwood here, which again is more or less a man-made lake, but it is massive. You can boat here. You can ski. It's
anything.
Really anything that you would do on a major lake.
Exactly.
But it's calm. You don't have these giant waves.
Unless you create them.
Unless you create them.
Unless you create them.
Oh, that's really nice.
But yeah, lots of water activities happen here, which people may or may not think, based on the fact that it's a man-made lake.
Yeah. So thanks for showing me these units in phase 1 and 2. Can we get over to phase 3, check out what's going on there, and maybe sit down for a Q&A session so we can cover some common questions that people who are maybe new to the park might have?
Absolutely, and the things the internet's not gonna tell you, Sean.
Yeah, the internet's not good for you guys.
I would love to fill you in on the real details about Highland Pines, what it looks like, what it costs, and all of those details that families ask every day.
Sure, well, let's go.
Awesome, thanks.
So Erin, thank you so much for showing us around the park today. We got to see a couple of models and see what Highland Pines is about. I think I just want to kind of sit you down and kind of go through more of the technical details, maybe some of the costs, some things that maybe people aren't aware of. But if you've got to this point in the video and you're interested in potentially looking at units in Highland Pines, the contact information for Erin Duffy is below in the description, so you can definitely contact her by email or by phone. So where are we right now?
So right now we are in the newest development, Sean. This is phase 3, which is called Valley Springs. Over here, they did a bunch more amenities.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Another swimming pool, splash pad, brand new multi-sports complex.
Yep.
And we're sitting under our pavilion that hosts our concerts and our fireworks shows and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's one thing, you know, one of the reasons, you know, I approached you about maybe making this video is that when you're looking at some other parks that are similar, like holiday seasonal parks, you know, RV parks, whatever you want to call them, here in Ontario, they don't have the size and they don't have the amenities that this place does. And you know, when you see that you have concerts and fireworks, like that's all included. You're paying for that when you pay your seasonal fees. So maybe that's kind of a good way to lead into, you know, how much does it cost to be here in relation to, you know, other resort style parks in Ontario, or, you know, more common holiday parks, things like that.
So I'm super glad you brought that up, Sean, because prices in the park are going to vary. And when people are looking at this as a purchase, there's 2 major costs you actually have to take into consideration.
Okay.
The first cost at any park is the running cost or maintenance fee, we like to call it.
Right.
At Highland Pines, you know, it is 2023, so things could change future.
Yes.
However, right now you could comfortably own at the park for anywhere from $6,300 to $8,500.
And that's like every single year that's that fee. Or
That's
every
right.
Season. Yep.
Every season.
Okay.
So again, we open May 6th and we close Thanksgiving Monday.
Okay.
Within that fee though, Sean, that includes your water, your land tax, your sewer, your garbage disposal, all of the amenities, maintenance, 24-hour security,
Yep.
and an unlimited guest pass. So your friends and family aren't paying to come and see you.
Yeah, that's one thing that's so surprising. You know, when we have people come here, they're used to maybe paying a fee or something, but there's zero cost to those people, unlike other parks that maybe here in Ontario where they have an extra cost to come onto your site, which is kind of crazy, but it's great that that's all included. But you really can't understate the amount of stuff. The beautiful pond in the back here in phase 3 is just, you know, you can kind of sit out here, and I can see a lot of these units out here, even though it's more open, everybody has a really nice view. This is obviously a nice place, and like you said, the amenities in this newer phase, you know, are really incomparable to anything else. I mean, the pirate ship alone, you know, that massive pirate ship, the kids just love it, right? And any kid that sees it, there's like, oh my God, they're mind blown when they see this, right?
Exactly.
So I think people really have to get, you know, and understand, yes, you have higher fees than a conventional park, but they just don't have the amenities. They don't have the size. They can't give you free concerts and fireworks and all the cool things that you get here, right? So, so this is heavily oriented towards being a resort.
Exactly. You're going on vacation for 5.5 months, just like you would do in Punta Cana for a week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this has campground in the name, but there's very little camping going on. This is not Algonquin Park. This is very much a holiday resort that you can use for 5 or 6 months of the year.
I think we need to change the name, Sean, but that's a whole nother topic.
We'll talk to the guys about that.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so second cost, Sean, is what it's going to cost for an actual unit.
Right.
And that, again, in itself is going to vary depending on product.
Yeah, and probably time of the year and time where you're watching this video. You know, right now we're talking cost. It's going to be different in the future.
Realistically, getting in, you can look at spending anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000, depending on product.
Yep.
Now, the nice thing about this, though, Sean, is this is similar to financing a car if need be.
Okay.
Where a lot of families will put down a deposit on a newer product,
right,
and then they'll pay a monthly payment.
Okay, so sort of like a mortgage, not really a mortgage, but it's you can finance these things.
Exactly. It's just a really big open loan.
And that's got
what it is.
That's got to be really helpful for a lot of people because I mean,
it is.
I think the value is here. It's great, but there's still not a lot of people that may be able to put $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 down.
Exactly.
And pay cash for this. So it's great that there's financing options for those people.
And we try to help all sorts of different families out. So you do have that option, and we use a company called Dealer Plan, and people can visit them at dealerplan.ca.
Okay, and will they pre-qualify you? Like, can you apply to them and get like a...
Absolutely.
Okay, so they can just do that in advance even before they reach out to you guys. Okay, nice.
So the second way, obviously, is people either have a massive wad of cash under their mattress,
right,
or they go to the bank and they're pulling out equity or their own personal. Exactly.
Yeah, there's creative ways you can pay for these things. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's easy to get into. It's a great product for the right family.
Right, and actually that brings us into another really important point. Who is buying here, you know, as seasonally? Like, I know there's some occasional campsites and some people with more conventional travel trailers that come in and out, but in general, most of these sites seem to be seasonal. Like, they're not going anywhere. They're here all year round, or rather all season round. So what's the demographic? Like, who's actually buying from you?
So it really varies, Sean. I wish I could be more specific, but you've got folks that are retired and they're staying here and then going down south. You've got young families, you've got grandparents that are buying for their kids.
Right, because their grandkids can come up and just enjoy everything here as well, and they can just sit on the deck and watch them and wave. And
that's exactly right, and grandma and grandpa are super cool at that point.
Right, yeah.
So, and anything in between. It is a product for somebody that's looking for a cottage that doesn't want to do the work or spend the money. This is the best in between.
I couldn't agree more because, you know, I had maybe mentioned this earlier, but when we were looking specifically on Belwood Lake, we were looking at cottages, lakefront cottages, and at the time, a tiny little one, $700,000, $1 million. And I was okay with that. However, when I really thought about it, I was like, okay, I've got little kids, I mean little at this point in time, and I'm not sure what they're going to do. Right. It's great for me and the missus to sit on the back and, you know, look at the lake, maybe have our boat. And if you have teenagers, that might work. They might want to go with the boat and do their own thing. But if you've got a young family, it cannot be beat here. And I don't want to understate that. I can't understate that enough because there's so much for the kids to do here. And I know that when they come up here, they're not going to be on their tablets. They're not going to be on their iPads. They're not going to be watching TV. They might do that at night when it's dark or cold or whatever. But in general, you know, campfires, playgrounds, splash pads, pools, fishing here, fishing in the creek. Like, there's just so much to do here. And we really need to get that across.
And that's the biggest point I think you're touching on is, again, the cost is maybe higher than other places, but what Highland Pines is offering now, my girls are 10 and 8, and I don't even see them.
For sure. Like if
off.
if you're talking, like you had mentioned, even $8,000 a season in fees at the time, that's cheaper than the property taxes and maintenance and insurance and utilities and all that stuff on a cottage.
Exactly.
Okay, but then you also mentioned when we were talking off camera that there's a lot of people who are just, maybe they're not looking at a cottage, but they're vacationers.
Exactly.
And that you rationalize it with that, this is kind of a yearly vacation, right?
Well, I went to a 5-star in Punta Cana for 1 week after my excursions for my family to go, 2 young girls, my husband. That was an $8,000 trip for me.
Right. And that's like a weekend, or not a weekend, but a week.
A week.
Right?
That's 7 days, and my kids are getting 157 days in this season.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Yeah, so you really take that number and you divide by 157, and it's totally justifiable as long as you can use the amenities here and can appreciate the more natural side of this. This is not Punta Cana, this is not Jamaica. You're not going to go and sit in a tropical beach, but there's so much to do, and you can definitely get that cottage resort vibe here all day long.
And we've tried to make it as nice as possible.
It's beautiful here, for sure.
Some of the other big questions, Sean, that people ask me is, do I own the land, or is it leased land, or anything like that? So I want to be clear again that when families purchase a product here, they own that product. We have nothing to do with the product.
The actual unit itself.
Exactly.
Right.
So they simply rent their spot from us on a seasonal basis.
Right.
And there are 0 contracts involved. Okay. You're with us for the time you want to be with us. When you're ready to move on, you're going to move on.
Yep. And you could sell your unit, I assume, through the park?
Through the park, or you can pull it off site again, like I had mentioned earlier in the day, and put it wherever you wanted to, or sell it out of your driveway if you wanted to.
Yeah, totally got it.
So that's something really big that I wanted to touch on. Another thing that is kind of important, every park has their own rules. The biggest rule that Highland Pines has is we love the friends and family and bring them up. It's a wonderful time. We just don't allow rental.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
So as far as an income property, you're investing in your family and memories and making relationships, not getting a weekly payout for putting it on an Airbnb.
Yeah, and I even, my first unit here, because I am now my second unit, because I love the park so much, but the first unit here, putting it on, one of the common questions is, can I rent it? Can I Airbnb it? No. And to be honest, if you're looking at this video and you're looking at actually buying a place for your family, would you want to be in a place where like anybody who has the money to spend can rent from you? You're going to have everything under the sun. It's not going to be secure. We can let our kids run around free. We don't have to worry about theft. We don't have to worry about any of that here. I'm not going to name names, but there are other parks in Ontario that allow people to rent, and they have some nice amenities too, but my God, there are people here that have come from those parks and they say it's a disaster there, just because it's a party every weekend. The renters don't care. They're there because they paid their money to be there. And that is not Highland Pines. So if you're looking for an income property, this is not it.
No.
But if you're looking for an amazing place to spend the summers and make memories with your family, I highly suggest you give Highland Pines a look. You can meet with Erin or one of the other sales reps here. They will give you a full tour, no obligation. So how would they get in touch with you if they want to learn more about Highland Pines, or maybe see what inventory is available, or actually see a tour?
So best way to get a hold of me is Duffy, Duffy, at highlandpines.com.
Okay.
Is my email address, Sean.
Okay.
My cell phone number is 705-305-9984, or visit our website at www.highlandpines.com.
Okay.
And you can drop us an email. General inquiries are more than welcomed. Or if there's something you really want to see really quick, don't want to go through different chains, just contact me direct.
Yeah, and there seems to always be a list of things for sale, new or used, right? There's always something available. So you're never really full here. But anyway, guys, if you missed any of that, all that information is going to be at the bottom of the video in the description, so you can copy it from there or whatever, or if Erin updates her phone number, it's going to be updated down there. Erin, thank you for spending the time with us today.
Sean, it was a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a great day.
Well, folks, that's it for our visit with the Highland Pines Campground and Resort. I hope you enjoyed this little tour, but if you want to see more, you can reach out to Erin or one of the other salespeople at Highland Pines to schedule your own personalized tour with no pressure or obligation. They're definitely a friendly bunch, and they're always happy to show people around this hidden gem of a resort. Thanks for watching.